So we have a very, very special guest here with us, Mr. Cashflow Ngcobo. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Ngcobo.
After reading this book, it's clear that you are very passionate about education, and specifically the education of underprivileged black people.
Yes.
Obviously, you've been very successful in a very short period of time. So please, can you talk to us about the type of education that you believe in and how it has helped you achieve your success?
Okay, thank you very much. I believe in financial education. Now, when I talk about financial education, I'm not referring to the one you learn in school or tertiary, I'm talking about the information that will enable you to create wealth and make the real paper, So I got the information from reading books like Robert Kiyosaki books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cashflow Quadrants, Retire Young and Rich, you name them, So basically, financial education is about what the rich know, that's the poor and the middle class do not, So up until I was exposed to financial education, that's where my life changed. That's when I began to look at life differently, So from there, I started implementing whatever information I got from the books, apart from what I was told when I was growing up. I must go to school, get good grades, so that one day I'll work to a good job with benefits, So I personally believe that education was designed to oppress us, to prepare us to be asset for big companies, Like we are told to get distinction so that to get a bursary, so that we'll walk into other companies and empower them, So for me, that's not what will liberate us as African people. That's not what will change our financial status at home, Our parents grew up saying, for as long as my kids have food on the table, that's all, So we need to change that mentality, so that we can change the country.
Very, very true. At times, you are very critical of employment, and at some point,
Yes.
you even refer to it as civilized slavery. So please, can you share with us the experience you had when you were employed and how you used your employment as a tool for knowledge rather than a crutch for stability?
That was a difficult time of my life when I was employed, So, serving under someone, to be detected, that's to when to go to the bathroom, what time should you eat, and all those things. That's not for me, I think not everyone like that. In fact, there's no one who likes that. Like to be detected, to go to the toilet at this time and stuff like that. So, for me, yes, it's a modern slavery to be an employee, So, in most of the times, people work because they're looking for security. And then they forget that in an employment industry where there's security, there's no freedom. You understand? Because 95% of the population, and this is the fact, they retire financially poor.
Yes.
You understand? And then those people who retire financially poor have worked for over 40 years and they still have no money. You understand? So what does that tell you? There's something wrong within that industry. You understand? So that's not something that will liberate us as African people. If we want our economy back, we need to change the way we view things. We need to think out of the box. We need to take control of our finances. It goes back to an investment. The same people that work for over 40 years, it's not like they don't invest. They invest for years. But when they retire, like, let's say you are promised that you'll get 2 million when you retire. Some they promise 500K. By the time you reach 65, 55, 2 million won't be worth 2 million anymore. It will be like 200,000. That's why most people who resign, they die because of stress, because they can't afford life anymore.
True, true. Now, you've had a lot of success throughout your entrepreneurship journey, and with starting back at your debt collecting days and now and with the Millennium Network marketing now.
Yes.
What kind of mindset do you need to have as an entrepreneur to be able to see opportunities and, more importantly, capitalize on them?
Look, it's not always going to be easier. That I must put up front. If you're an entrepreneur, it's a difficult journey, but if you're doing something that you like, something that you're passionate about, you'll be able to overcome obstacles. But when you're doing something, if you're a copycat, if you heard Jabulani saying he's doing Forex and then you also jab into Forex, you're not even passionate about Forex. When you experience or you encounter challenges, you will fail, you will quit, you understand? So, that's why that says about 75% of the businesses, they fail within the first 3 to 5 years, you understand? Because it's part of being an employee. But failing doesn't mean that you are losing or you are a loser, you understand? As an entrepreneur, you must fail at the faster rates. Now, the difference between being an employee and an employer, if you're an employee, your job is not to make mistakes. When you make mistake, you get a warning, second warning, then you fail. But if you're an employer, if you make mistakes, you learn. So the more you make mistakes, the more you learn. So basically, you learn from your mistakes and then what?
And you touched on passion and joy, and you speak a lot about passion and joy throughout this book. So please can you explain to us a little bit more in detail about why it's important to be passionate and have joy for the things that you are doing in life?
Mostly I emphasize that when it comes to the part of dreaming, you understand? Because, I mean, all of us, when you grow up, I mean, remember when you're playing in the playground, driving your favorite cars, it was not your Toyota Conquest or Cressida, but it was only the best. The Mercedes, the BMWs. Like you're no limited, that's, you know. But as you grow older, you begin to face the reality.
Yes.
And then you begin to think, no, those dreams are not possible for you, you understand? Now, if you have massive faith in your dreams, just like myself, the difference between me and other people is the massive faith I have in my dreams from the tender age, you understand? Like, I don't believe in the word impossible. I believe that anything is impossible. Obviously, I'm driven by passion, you know? So, obviously, I'm driven by passion more than anything. So, passion, again, going back to my previous point, if you're doing something that you're passionate about, something, you know, and God speaks to us differently. Like, there will be that little voice inside you that will tell you, that will keep you going. Now, again, let me say this to our parents. It is important for them to listen to their kids because if they want to see the future, they must look at the future through the eyes of their kids. You understand? Now, when they grew up under industrial era, they still believe in the old 8 days that go to school, get good grades, so that one day you'll work to a good job with benefits. But in nowadays, that's not the case. Things have changed.
Very true. After founding Cashflow Equities, you experienced a very high level of success.
Yes.
The money, the cars, the women, as well as being tempted into unethical business practices.
Yes, yes.
So please can you explain to us how you dealt with those kinds of temptations and what kept you from abandoning your principles and your ethics when it came to trading on your client's behalf with like your former partners has suggested?
Yes. Look, when we started our company, Cashflow, remember at that time we had no resources or recourses, just like any other entrepreneurs, you know. But it was that belief that Cashflow will be a brand one day, you understand? So now we started the business training people on how to trade on their own. And obviously, we got the skill from a white company that taught us on how to run the business. And then later, we decided to establish our own company and become a competition to the same people, you know. So now, I always want to do things right because I don't think about now, I think about the future. And I think that's what kills us as black entrepreneurs because when you make money, just like people who get tenders, they eat the money before they build the road. Yet white people, they will build the road, put their books in order, and then chow the money. So with us, the moment you get money, think about popping bottles, think about buying Range, all these expensive cars. So for me, it's different. I started what I'm doing in 2007, you understand? And it's been a journey. Whatever the success that you see from me now, it didn't happen overnight. And before we started Forex trading, we served under a white man that understood the concept. We didn't mind. We made millions for him. But we said one thing, we told ourselves one thing, that we're acquiring a skill, let us get the skill and then make money. To make an example, farming is a very lucrative industry. So how many of us as black entrepreneurs are prepared to go and shadow a white man? Because truth be told, they understand the concept and then learn for years before you make money. We are very few, you understand? We all want shortcuts. I want to make money now. I want a tender to give me money now and then make money. And again, if I'm a tenderpreneur, not an entrepreneur, we need entrepreneurs in order for us to change our economy and then help our government to create more entrepreneurs, because the only way to grow our economy is to create more entrepreneurs so that they'll increase job opportunities.
Okay, my producer's in my ear saying that we have to cut this short, but this is very interesting views that I have from our special guest, Mr. Cashflow Ngcobo. For those who are in the space of entrepreneurship and who have an interest, I do suggest you go out and get the book because it's a very good read and you could learn a lot from his journey. And we thank you for joining us in studio.